Oh, ooh. Turn that lighting down a little bit. It's a little bit better, isn't it? A little bit better, isn't it? Hello, guys. How are we all doing on this fine Sunday morning? Welcome to Real Red Talk, your favourite football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. This is your Sunday morning social show. On today's show, we're going to discuss the formal offers incoming from the Middle East, Asia, US, and a potential frontrunner in Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And we're talking within the next 2 weeks now. It's getting very, very close to the formal bids being put in. So we're going to get quite a lot of information coming over now over the next kind of, like I said, 2 to 3 weeks of who the real people are who are interested in buying United and who we're going to put in for it. So very interesting times for United. A lot of positivity going on at the minute. I'm going to discuss, obviously, a couple of the games over the weekend, Friday, Saturday. You've had Fulham, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Newcastle dropping points. How important will that be? The points that have been dropped, and obviously we'll discuss the rest of the games in depth as well, because I think fascinating games yesterday. Quite a lot that's happened where you've been like almost scratching your head, like can't believe that they've dropped points. Can't believe they've dropped points. Obviously, Liverpool dropping points is expected because they're absolutely dog water at the minute, but it's always nice to see. It's always nice to see. And the last kind of article I'm gonna touch on is apparently some of the players at Manchester United are open. This is a report, so it's not concrete news, but it's a report, so we have to report it. Apparently, some of the players are open to Mason Greenwood rejoining the team, but feel like it would bring negativity. We'll definitely discuss that towards the end as well. But I want to start off with the bids incoming. That's a big story right now within the next couple of weeks. But before we do that, before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, and let's push it to 1,200 subs if we can. I'll get into your comments in a sec. Right, so the most recent reports that are coming out surrounding the bids. The Glazers have been busy marketing the club for sale. Co-owner Avram Glazer flew to Qatar, where he said to held a number of informal meetings with potential investors. United's sale process is understood to be much further down the track than Liverpool's, and said to have attracted far higher indicative bids, basically. So a lot more people are interested in Manchester United, and why wouldn't you be? It's one of the biggest global clubs on the planet. You can chat about Liverpool, but United are a bigger club than Liverpool. Don't care what anyone says. Globally, commercially, historically, we're a bigger club than Liverpool. So yeah, obviously more people are interested in buying United. It's a massive opportunity. It kind of shockwaves were sent around the planet on it when the Glazers first announced in November, literally off the back of terminating Ronaldo's contracts, that they wanted to sell the club as well. You know, as a fan channel, he was like, what the fuck is going on here? He was just about to get ready to go for a show. It was a breaking news show. I can't remember what the topics were. It was something United related, talking about Bruno Fernandes and a couple other bits. And just as we were about to go live, it's like, boom, Ronaldo's terminated. Ronaldo's contract terminated. And we're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, we're going to have to go live for this. Went and done that. And then just as we was doing that as well, the Glazers then announced that they wanted to sell the club. So again, obviously this came as as a massive surprise to all United fans, because we've wanted these parasites out of the club for fucking ages. So yeah, it was obviously positive news for us on both ends. You know, Ronaldo's contract being terminated, given what had happened. I think as a whole fan base, we was quite happy with Ronaldo's contract being terminated, him going, not having to deal with that drama anymore, and then the Glazers announcing that was kind of a little bit like a cherry on top. So we're now 4 months on from that, from announcing when they're selling the club. Like I said, United's sale process is understood to be much further down the track than Liverpool's, and said to have attracted far higher bids as well. Jim Ratcliffe is the early frontrunner. However, there is interest from the Middle East, Asia, and America, with parties set to fight Ratcliffe for a full sale. Let me know, guys, in the comment section, please, what you guys want, because I'm really interested to see. I'm going to put a poll out on the YouTube shortly, but I want to know who you want and why you want him. Don't just say I want him because you know what I mean. I want him. Just say why you want him as well. Why would you want Middle East owners? Why would you want Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come in? Why would you want Set Party, or some people might want US investment? I highly doubt it, But, you know, each to their own. It's all about opinion, innit? And I'd rather not the fan base be divided on this, but I feel like it's something that's going to be a split opinion, like most things. So it is what it is. The sale is expected to attract initial bids for at least $4 billion. It's attracted considerable interest from buyers. I touched on that, from the United States, Middle East, and Asia. Formal offers for Manchester United are expected to be submitted within the next week. After allowing interested parties to view the club's accounts, bids are now expected to be submitted. So they have it, guys. Let me get into your comments, and I'll certainly react to them right now. So let's have a look. Ashberry saying, yes, bro, mad respect. I'm having a poo at work. Fair enough to you, Ash. This is the perfect content if you're having a poo or if you're at work, as I always say. So I love to hear that. You know, you're letting me know what you're doing. It is what it is. Who do you think will bid for United once the bidding starts? Well, as I said, the parties that have been reported is interest from the Middle East, Asia, United States, and Jim Ratcliffe. So they're the parties we're looking at potentially who are slowly coming to the table. I think so. Jim Ratcliffe throwing his coin in there at first is maybe to get initial backing from, you know, fans who want him in the club. Just put it out there saying, I do want the club, you know, letting us know as fans. And it's also letting other potential investors know, you know, around the planet, saying, I'm serious about this. I'm a fan of the club. You know, I've got a relatively good reputation within sports, within cycling, within at Nice as well. So he's letting other investors, you know, because it's gonna cost a lot of money. You're talking stadiums, which is about 1 to 2 billion. We've got a massive wage bill. You've got transfers you need to put in, training ground that needs updating. Like, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be paid for. So Jim, maybe he might need a bit of financial backing. I know his company's worth 60 billion or something like that, but then that's in assets. That's like their net worth, if you get what I'm saying. So whether he'll be able to keep up financially with, you know, some of these big boys in the Middle East, I have absolutely no idea, and that's yet to be seen. So, who do you think? Yeah, so that's all right. Gonzalo says the bits was class yesterday. Yeah, from the cameo that I saw, I thought it was all right. Weren't too bad. Mark saying Mason Greenwood should be given a chance. If not, let him go for free. I mean, I don't agree with the first part, but the second part I certainly agree with. Hello, news about Casemiro. What's up? So Casemiro, obviously, unless you've been living under a rock for the past couple of days, or yesterday, I should say, got a red card after strangling Will Hughes. He was just grabbing him by the collar, really. And if you see the video after it, it's pretty friendly, smiling at him, tapping him on the back. And then Will Hughes on camera winks to the crowd, and he's like, shh. So he knows what he's doing there. So he's only getting a 3-game ban, I believe. So he won't miss no League Cups or Europa Leagues or anything like that. He's just going to miss Leeds at home, Leeds away, and Leicester as well. So that's news on Casemiro. Who's United playing? United playing next Leeds on Wednesday. I'll be at that game. So, yeah, I'll have some footage from outside the stadium, pre and after, of course, giving my views on that. Thank you for everyone who's smashing the likes, by the way. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Get into the comments on YouTube if there's any in a sec. Ratcliffe, because he's a Man United fan, and that's fair enough. Fair enough. Ideally, sit Jim with Dubai backing, but Dubai or Middle East seems to be favourites. I do like that comment from Nathan. I think that's a very sensible comment, to be fair. That's maybe something I'd look at, because the one argument against Sir Jim Ratcliffe is, does he have enough money to compete with state ownership? You know, you look at Newcastle, you look at City, the kind of funds they have. Can we compete with that? Do we need to compete with that to be at the very top? Or can we do it in a similar way how Liverpool have done it, where you buy carefully, you buy the right players, you promote certain players? I don't know. Maybe they can do it like that. I'm not entirely sure. Thoughts on Kante joining United in the summer? No, too injury prone. Just curiosity speaking here, but can Jim join with Dubai owners to buy the club? I mean, there's loopholes financially what they can do. They can get investors to back, but then it's a percentage of how much you own the club then, and how much you want to, you know, if you say to, I don't know, potential investors in Dubai or wherever it is in the world, and you say, look, if you can, you know, throw a couple of billion or $1 billion into this, on return, I'll give you 25% of the club. A bit like a Dragon's Den pitch, isn't it, really, to be sent. So, hello, Dragons. I'm out. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Financially, there's a lot of... I'm not a financial expert, so I wouldn't want to try guesswork that. Hopefully, United appeal the red card. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. Let's have a look. Big up, everyone, all the usuals. You know who you are, lads, in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Sam saying a cup of tea, I think he's having this morning. Is it a coffee, or and are you having bourbons with it? Let me know. In defense of Casemiro thought Hughes is the Glazers. Yeah, that's acceptable, isn't it? If that was Avram and he's got him by the neck, and you're like, then you're all right. It's not too bad, is it, at all? Yeah. So what does this say? What does this mean? What does this mean? It's getting closer and closer. That's what it means. And me personally, as a United fan, I'm getting super, super excited about the thoughts of the Glazers going. It's had 18 years of its ownership since 2005. I think they first came in, and when they bought us, United was an opportunity to make a lot of fucking money. And I believe they only put about £200 million of their own money investing into the club. And they bought us, and then the return that they're going to make, they're obviously going to accept to the highest bidder. So you're talking, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, maybe £7 billion they're going to make, considering they only put £200 of their own money. £200. Imagine buying United for 200 quid. Fucking hell, I would have done that. £200 million, and then 500 million was on debt as well. So leveraged on a card, essentially, just to buy us. Now, 18 years down the line, fast forward, aside all the bullshit, it's too much to get into how their ownership's been. But you fast forward 18 years down the line, the club's now worth they're probably going to get what, £6 billion, something along the lines of that. Going to get about £6 billion and then leave the debt as well. That's the rumored things, that they don't want to pay the debt off either. The £500 million that's kind of left lingering around this. So you're like, how can you make that much money off it and then still manage to leave us in debt? I can't wrap my head around it. Like, if you made 6 billion, you only put 200 million in your own money. I'm not a mathematician, but one of you guys can work that out. How much profit they've made in terms of percent. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, what owners? We're already discussing slightly. What owners do we want? What owners do we need? Well, ideally, we want someone who's going to invest a lot of money, who's got deep pockets, because as we touched on before, the stadium is going to cost a lot of money, £1 to £2 billion, depending on if you want to completely knock it down and build a new stadium, or you just want to modernize it and change a few bits. Regardless, it's going to cost £1 to £2 billion. Training ground Carrington needs updating. The last time it got updated was in 2000. So that needs updating up to if you look at even like Tottenham's or Leicester's facilities that they've got, it's the miles ahead of United. And that for a club of the size of United just isn't right. And I'm sure Ten Hag will agree with that as well. So you're going to need deep pockets to come in, but not just, people who are willing to spend money, people who are interested in the club, the longevity of the club, and taking them to that next level and put into the community that's surrounding it as well. If you look at, I know Man City and they're across the pond and we don't like them, but if you look at what the owners have done there, they've significantly backed the manager and they've put into the area around the club as well. So I think there's a lot of importance with whoever it is who comes in. And I also feel like the owners that are coming in need this kind of portfolio to show to the ownership and say, for example, this guy's got this amount of money. This is what he's expecting to do. Just like so we as fans can see it, right? And say, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Oh, that's interesting that he's going to go about it that way. Oh, he's going to do this with the stadium. Oh, he's going to do this with the wage bill to make sure he's going to do this with contracts. He's got, you know what I mean? Just something we can look at and go, yeah, you know what? That's someone who I want, because at the minute it's guesswork. We don't have a clue who's coming in. So it's confusing at the minute for a lot of United fans, and all these bids that are going on behind closed doors. We have barely any communication at all with what's going on. We're having to look at Twitter, scroll through Twitter every couple of hours to check from credible journalists and United pages and stuff, just to find out what's happening. Hey, my sister's in the chat. How are you feeling about Barcelona game coming up and thoughts on Fernandes since Ronaldo has left? Very good question. I like that. Barcelona game coming up. It's tough, innit? Away, home and away. Exciting, very exciting, because they've got a player called Frankie de Jong who I'm a massive fan of, who I want United to sign. But yeah, them two are massive games. I would have loved to have gone to it, but the only ticket that's left is like 450 quid, and I'm not paying that. So yeah, I'll be doing a watch along here on the channel, on Real Red Star. Make sure you subscribe to that, smash a like on the video. But yeah, I'm super excited for it. Going to be very tough because Barcelona are playing well at the minute. They're the top of the league. Xavi's got them playing again. Got some super talented players. So it's going to be a good clash. It's going to be, very, very competitive, and I'm looking forward to it. And then something about Bruno. Bruno's been fucking miles better since Ronaldo's left. There was always that thing whilst Ronaldo was here. There was always that kind of thing where Bruno just didn't seem himself and they always picked up the similar pockets of space to each other, and they'd always kind of clash, and you could see there was like bickerings going on between them. Even in the national team, they had a similar thing. And now Ronaldo's gone. He's like the shackles are off him. He's kind of released, and he's got all that freedom, which you need as a number 10, as a creative kind of player. So yeah, yeah. If Sabitzer does well, we should sign him on a permanent deal. Well, the thing is, I'm going to get back to the bids in a second, the discussion on that. Just on Sabitzer very quickly. If Sabitzer, I know it was only a 17-minute cameo last night, wasn't it? It wasn't like, we had a lot of data to analyze, but from what I saw within that brief 15, 17 minutes, I thought he looked right on it. His attitude, his reading of the game, his physicality, his bite, which Christian Eriksen lacks. Christian Eriksen really lacks that kind of side of his game. He's great on the ball. He's got the right depth, the right intelligence, but when when we concede a counter attack or a transition, physically, he hasn't got that kind of bite to hit a man and you know what I mean, and take it off him and then win. And Sabitzer did that yesterday. The ref gave a foul, and you're like, that isn't a fucking foul. Like, he's won it from behind. He's clearly touched the ball, and then he feeds Rashford through. Rashford could have gone through on the counter there, and 1v1 is most likely to score, and you kill that game off there. So Sabitzer, I think he can do a job. I think he could probably replace Casemiro whilst Casemiro was out for the 2 games against Leeds and the one against Leicester. Because if you look at the amount of times he's played as a 6, it's probably more than he's played as an 8. Well, as a pivot, should I say. He's played more as a pivot as he has an attacking player. So he can certainly fill that role in there. And I feel like he looks decent, man. Be a good signing. And Bayern Munich only bought him for 15 million euros, which is 13 million pounds. So if Bayern Munich want a sale, even if they wanted to double the money, 30 million for Sabitzer is still a very good signing. And then you look at the depth that you've got in Eriksen, Sabitzer, Casemiro, Fred, Bruno. Maybe, you get someone in to cover for Bruno Fernandes. I'm not entirely sure because he needs that competition, doesn't it, to push up. I know Chivy always touches on that. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting with Sabitzer. And I think by the end of the season, a lot of people will be wanting to sign him. So, yeah. Like you say, Sabitzer has more of a physical presence, and I think with Fred's energy, we'll be okay. Yeah, exactly, Jay. Exactly, Jay. Right, let's go back onto the bids. Unless there's a couple of comments in YouTube actually. Dan Raj saying, "I hope the new owners know. Ask the fans." Yeah, that's what I mean. We need some sort of communication, right? That's the main thing. That's what I want anyway. Huff Gaming, should United appeal for that Casemiro red card, and do you think Sabitzer can solidify our midfield for the next 3 league games? Well, I touched on Sabitzer there, so hopefully that answered your question. Casemiro red card. Yeah, I don't think they'll overturn it, to be honest. I think it's when you look at it, I think it's just a red card. But then you see the videos afterwards where he's grabbing him by the collar, but then he's like tapping him on the back and smiling. And then there was a picture that came out of Fred where Jordan Ayew's got like his hands on his neck and he's like basically doing the same thing. But VAR didn't pick up on that. And Eric Ten Hag touched on it in his press conference. He said, in the last game we played Crystal Palace, Lisandro Martinez got an elbow, didn't he, to the eye. That's why he wore that like bandana like that dude out of Ice Age with a big black bandana. And he's got what's it called? An eyeshadow? What the fuck am I on about? Fucking hell, what's it called? Eyebrow, not an eyebrow. Black eye. Fuck knows why I couldn't think of that. A black eye. So Ten Hag's just asking for consistency, and I think that's what we want. If we look at the decisions that have gone against us this year, in comparison to like under Ole, where we got every decision under the sun, you just need consistency somewhere in the middle. I'm not asking for decisions all the time. I'm just asking for the right decisions to be made consistently. Shouldn't be too hard when you've got a VAR and you've got about 9 officials officiating the game. It's fucking ridiculous. So yeah, thank you for your comments. Just gonna get a quick swig of me coke. That cameo tells you what you can do: pressing skills, tracking back, passing, and a presence of mind. Great comment from Dan. Shah Sam says we should keep Sabitzer even if we get a new midfielder in the summer. So I feel like a lot of people are happy with Sabitzer, right? Yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a quick poll out on the YouTube for you guys. I'll try to put one out on thingy as well. Gonzalo, if you're in the chat, can you, or Brandon, if you're in the chat, can you put a poll out to see what people want as owners, who they want to come in as the ownership model, and keep smashing a like on the video as well. So let me ask the question: what owners do you want to take over? Which owners do you want to take over? Let's have a look. So I'll put Jim. I'll put Middle East. I'll put Asia. And then the heavy favourite, which is obviously sarcasm, US investment. Let's see. Ask your community. Let's see what they're thinking. I'll update you on that poll, guys, as I go through that poll. I don't know why I'm speaking like that. So right, let's quickly go back to the last of the bid, and then I'll go on to the next section because I want to discuss the other teams around us that have dropped points, which I'm fucking absolutely thrilled by the way. With Sean Dyche, we've had Sean Dyche, ex-Burnley manager, who's come in. He's done Brexit football. He's had Dwight McNeil on the corner, and Tarkovsky's got his head on it in the back post, and he's gonna beat Arsenal, who's top of the league. Oh, my throat. So happy, very happy about that. I really want to touch on it. But the last few bits on this bid, these bids incoming within the next couple of weeks. Look, first and foremost, it's not going to be a quick return in profit. So whoever it is who comes in, it's going to have to be for the long game. As I've already touched on, it'd be nice to see a portfolio of all these buyers, what the plan is to do with the club. And yeah, it just doesn't feel real, does it, at this point? It doesn't feel real. Like there could be some huge changes incoming that we know absolutely nothing about. And I think the way it's going to work is within 1 or 2 weeks, the bid gets put in. And then how long is it going to take for the Glazer to say, right, that's who we're going to sell it to? Maybe they'll just see it and they'll be like, right, he's offered 5 billion. He's offered 4. Who's offered the most? He's offered, 1 second. He's offered 6. He's offered 8. Yeah, 8 billion. We'll just sell to the highest bidder. And I have a feeling that will probably be someone within the Middle East. When you look at the state ownerships and look at the amount of money that they have, then it all falls down to a moral compass. You talk about like the human rights records and stuff. Some people are not. Some people are like, oil me up, give me the money. I don't give a shit. Some people are, like Sam, who's on the channel, who has very strong opinions about it. It would conflict with their supporting of the club and maybe divide a couple of people. Some people might not want it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's one of them. Lots of bids coming to the table. Bids coming from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the US, Asia, and Middle East. So keep an eye out for that. We will go live when the news breaks that the formal bids have been submitted. But it's going to be very, very shortly. So turn on that notification bell if you're on the YouTube because you don't want to miss a live when we do go live. It's heating up. It's heating up. Who's actually bidding? So I touched on it there. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe's the front runner. He's the one who's put in the most serious interest. But then his interest from the Middle East, US, and Asia. That's the way it's going at the minute. Keep smashing a like on the TikTok and the YouTube and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to push to 1,200 subs, which would be incredible. Not a red card for me. Harsh send-off. Yellow probably. But 4 or 5 should have been yellowed. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. If he's going to... It's about consistency, isn't it? If he's going to red card one player, red card Jordan Ayew for having his fucking hand on Fred's neck, yellow card all the other players who are throwing handbags and slapping each other in the face and shit. Like, yeah. You're absolutely right there, Craig. 100%. What's your thoughts on Greenwood? I'm going to touch on that towards the end. I'm not going to spend very long on that. I'm going to say my piece, and then I'll leave it at that. I did a poll. Thanks for that, Gonzalo. So the next bit I wanted to touch on, the 6 teams around us yesterday. I don't know if many people noticed, but we had Chelsea and Fulham drawing on Friday. Liverpool losing horrifically to Wolves. Like I said, Stone Cold Sean Dyche beating the mighty Arsenal in his first game at Goodison Park. And then you had Newcastle dropping points to West Ham and dropping points to West Ham at St. James's Park. And then we've got City playing Spurs today. So in the first time in God knows how long, we've had every team around us potentially dropping points, and we've capitalized on it. That's why it was so important that we held on for them 3 points, because it was getting nervy, wasn't it? The last 10-15 minutes was twitchy bum time. It was getting seriously worrying. Blood pressure was absolutely skyrocketing, but we got it over the line. The lads dug in, especially like someone like Lisandro Martinez last night was just fucking unbelievable. What a signing he's been, by the way. Like, you talk about some of the best centre backs in the league, he's up there. He's in that conversation. So I was super happy with his performance last night. Even the wing backs in the first half, I said were my men of the match. So super impressive. Showed a lot of resilience yesterday. And for Sabitzer to come on, that little cameo that I know we've already touched on it slightly, but for him to come on and do what he did in, given the circumstance, I thought he looked really, really good and could have got an assist for a goal. So impressed with that. How do we feel about the games? I don't know if anyone watched the Wolves game. Wolves battered Liverpool like they are in the mud at the minute. Jurgen Klopp is having a meltdown, and he's there probably conversations about him maybe going. I know he's done a lot for Liverpool, but it just doesn't seem to be turning it around at the minute. Liverpool always have these drops in form where they look like they're at the depths of hell and then they bounce back. It's happened in numerous seasons before where they've had either had a lot of injuries, they've come back, and then they've managed to push themselves back into that top four. But they haven't won. I'm pretty sure they haven't won one in 5 or 6 games. I think it is. They're like 10th. They're near Chelsea. So yeah, Wolves beating them last night, massive for Lopetegui. Was impressed with him. Thought they put on a really good performance, beating Liverpool 3-0, regardless what form they're in. It's still very, very good for them. They're obviously in a relegation battle. And then the counterparts, Everton, who's also in the relegation battle, beating Arsenal. I was really impressed with their performance as well. I thought they was really structured, well organised, which is a Sean Dyche kind of thing, innit? But then when they got the moments, they got bodies forward. You had physical players, a physical presence like Onana, Calvert-Lewin, and it was slightly long ball. I'll attest to that. But they would get numbers near him. So if they was going to play it up, they'd have Calvert-Lewin getting his head to it, but they'd have other runners behind him. So it functioned really, really well. Arsenal couldn't deal with it. They managed to keep Ødegaard out of the game for most part for 70 minutes, who's been probably the best player in the Premier League, if we're being in all honesty. So Sean Dyche deserves massive credit for that. And it was, like he says, like Gonzalo says there, it was a Dyche masterclass. And I was happy with that. I'm buzzing for Alex as well. My mate's an Everton fan. He's been through shit with this club. You talk about we've got bad owners. Everton have got probably the worst owners. Like what that Mansour is doing there is ridiculous. Lots of protests going on at the time. So I'm happy for Everton because I want them to stay in the Premier League. I do want them to stay in the Premier League. I think they're a good club. They've got good players and they've got a good ethos about them. Goodison Park's always a tough place to go to, and that's because of the fans. You have to respect the fans there. So I was happy about that. Chelsea is another talking topic, isn't it? Like that's another massive discussion to be had because I think Todd Bowley spent, is it 500 million since he's come in, 600 million? And that was how much United was bought for when the Glazers took over, ironically. So he spent a lot of money. Potter's going to need time. I would, if genuinely, I'm not just saying this now because I'm a United fan. If I was a Chelsea fan, I'd want to keep Potter because I think once you eventually get him molding these players together like Mudryk, Enzo Fernandez, I thought looked really good against Fulham. All these guys, if we start gelling them, and Potter's a really good coach, I think he can do well. But it won't be this season. This season is a transitional season. He's going to need a proper preseason with all these new signings. And I actually think Chelsea could be a threat next season. I legit believe that. I think they can be really good. So, yeah, Chelsea looks good. Didn't look good, sorry. They look shit. But I think they will be good. They'll come good next season. Who else? Spoke about Arsenal. Spoken about... Who else we got? Newcastle, sorry. Yeah, I don't forget about that. Newcastle drawing yesterday against West Ham. West Ham scoring from a set piece, I think, at the back post. And then Callum Wilson scored in the first 2 minutes. So after the Wilson goal goes in, you think, here we go, another 3 points for Newcastle. We're going to be same again, level on points. But then they drop. I think Paqueta scores at the back post, and then they can't get the W. So they drop points as well, which means we go above them. We're now third in the league. And at 4 o'clock, 4:30, Super Sunday kickoff, we've got Tottenham against City. In an ideal world, you want both teams to drop points, right? So we can capitalise even more on that. We can get closer to City and further away from Tottenham. But regardless, whoever it is who wins, we're going to gain an advantage on one of the teams. So a really good weekend, all in all. And I think the form, just looking at the form of other teams around us, like Alyssa says there, Liverpool are offering hailers. Exactly, there's fucking something going on. I don't know what Klopp was feeding him, whether it was caffeine pills or whatever the fuck, but they just do not look on it whatsoever. Jay McGragan, plus everyone has always been a decent outlet for our Deadwood. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. And that's what we need to, sorry, just very quickly on that. We need to start becoming good at selling players. These new UEFA regulations that are coming in means we're restricted on certain players that we can buy, certain players we bring in because of our wage bill, because of money that's been spent in the past. So in order for us to buy the targets that we want, we need to, 1, sell good in the summer, 2, make sure we get Champions League football. And both of them look relatively promising at the minute because you've seen, I think top 4 we will get, which I said at the start of the season, by the way, just putting out there. And I think we could sell, like Scott McTominay was linked with Newcastle. I think we can get rid of him for 40 million. And I think Maguire will go as well, which will probably recoup 30 to 40 million for him as well, and maybe a couple more players. So I think we'll be all right in the summer. Shah Sam, Everton are not a bad team. Lampard was just not good enough. Thing is with Lampard was though, he's very he likes playing that kind of football which looks good on the eye. You know, very well drilled in passing patterns and stuff, but defensively he's not a great coach at all. And that's why Everton dropped down. You bring Sean Dyche in now, he kind of brings the opposite to that. He brings robust resilience, defensive acumen. Yeah, I think he's what Everton need right now, and I think he'll keep him up. Jay McGuigan swaps with Sporting, for example. Yeah, I agree. Newcastle dropping points helps us solidify top 4. There we go. That's what I'm saying. So, it's the next couple of games we've got Leeds twice and Leicester. You'd expect United to put them aside. I think we're favourites in all them. We're definitely favourites in all them games. Not to say they won't be tough because Leeds is a rivalry technically. And they always bring this kind of fire and passion. I think Leeds away could be a potential banana skin, but Casemiro's out, so it's technically a big blow for us. But I still think Sabitzer can do a job in there, and I think you got Sabitzer, Fred, and Bruno Fernandes. I think we'll be all right. And not to mention as well, Varane and Lisandro Martinez, the best defensive partnership in the league. Someone tell me any different. I'll wait. For me, right now, it's not even biased. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Varane and Lisandro Martinez are the best centre-back partnership in the Premier League right now. Name one better partnership, because there isn't one. Newcastle, you can argue their defensive record with Botman and Fabian Schär, but even if you're talking about individual quality as well, them two together are unbelievable. Joe's saying if Casemiro was to miss 3 games, this is the 3 games you'd want him to miss. Exactly. You don't want him to miss the Barcelona games and the League Cup final. So in essence, if you can kind of look at it in a positive light, right? You can look at it, he'll be fresh and ready for them games and he'll actually have a rest. So, but Casemiro's one of them players as well who needs a run of games, because I remember the first game he came back to, who was it against after Arsenal? Whoever we played after Arsenal, was it Nottingham Forest, the first leg? And he came back and he looked a little bit rusty, was losing the ball quite a lot. He needs a run of games, Casemiro, I think. So, but yeah, look, he's going to get a rest. And he'll probably return fresh and ready for it. So it's a positive in all sense. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of this Premier League now. We've got a busy schedule. And we've got Leeds twice, Leicester, Liverpool at Anfield. Then we've got 2 games against Barcelona in the Europa League, a League Cup final, and West Ham in the FA Cup as well. So a lot of games through in there. I think we can deal with it, depending on how. I don't know how Ten Hag's going to rotate in these games, but he's done well so far doing it, and he didn't do it at Ajax. So this is what to expect from him. He's going to go strong. He's going to keep that mentality, and he's going to keep that winning squad. This kind of leads me slightly to my next topic, the last topic, which I wanted to discuss, which is a very sensitive topic. So whilst I'm going through it, if there's any idiots making stupid comments or insensitive comments, I'm just going to fucking remove them. I'll just tell you that straight off the bat. So, yeah, there was a couple of reports regarding Mason Greenwood, speculation to his future, that the club are still handling it and figuring out what to do. For me, personally, it's simple. Send him out on loan. The 2 years that he's got left on his contract, send him to another country, wash your hands with him. That's my personal opinion. That's what I'd do. And that's what I think would be the best interest for all parties. Yeah. We finally have a really good, positive harmony in our squad now. And I think bringing someone like him back into the squad would just completely ruin that. And I don't want to bring in... We've had enough roller coasters at this club over the past couple of years. Different kind of roller coasters. But a lot of them being just bad for the club and not what we need. We're on a positive road at the minute, and that's the last thing I want to do. I'd be absolutely astonished if Eric Ten Hag wanted him back. I would. I'd be astonished. I'd be astonished if a lot of players wanted him back as well. Don't forget, this guy's missed like 18 months of football as well. The fan base will split. It's just another headache we don't need. We like I said, we've had enough of them over the past couple of years. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense to me. And we either do this or terminate his contract, make him a free agent, but then you'd have to pay him for missing wages to make him a free agent. So United are going to look at all alternatives and probably look at this from a business standpoint rather than a human standpoint and do what's best for the club. Because I believe as well, if they bring him back into the fold now, it's an absolute PR disaster It'd be a nightmare for him. And United are all about PR. They're all about public reputation, how they're seen around the world. And bringing someone like that back in, imagine what the rival fans would be like in games, like non-stop chanting. Imagine what some of the fans at our own club, probably including myself, would be like inside the stadium. It's just not a good look. I don't see any pros in this whatsoever. And hopefully United do the right thing with this. I'm praying they do the right thing with this. And just sort it out as soon as possible, because you don't want something like this lingering. You really don't want something like this lingering. I'd love to speak to the players about this as well. Just I'll be a fly on the wall and just see what they think, because they obviously can't come out and publicly talk about it and, say, this is what I think about this situation, because again, that'd be a bit of a nightmare for them to have quotes out there, because journalists would just jump all over it. But I'd love to speak to Ten Hag or speak to some of the players about it and see what their real thoughts are, because I believe they'd be like, no, I think if you bring him back in, it'd be a disaster. But would other clubs take him? Maybe lower down the pyramid. Is that the way it's going to go? You saw what happened with, I think it was Ched Evans, wasn't it? Who obviously his was a different case, but he got accused of a certain thing, and then I think it came out that it was false. Now, obviously, Greenwood's thing's completely different. I'm not relating them. I'm just saying his case, and then he went and played lower down the league for another Championship or League Two team, I think it was, and came back. So I don't know. Maybe obviously the charges have been dropped now, so my guess is they'll probably send him out on loan to another club, to go play there for a couple of years, and then wherever it may be. I have absolutely no idea. But yeah, like I said, it'd be a PR disaster for United to allow him back. Rival fans in stadiums chanting and stuff. It's just not a good look. So I thought I'd just quickly mention that. Look, like I said, people who are going to put their opinions in, and anyone who's putting stupid opinions in, I'm just not going to read it. Gonzalo saying, where do you think he'll go? Probably just a completely different situation, like a China or US. I think something like that. I'm guessing. MCFC Cameron, yes, lad. How you doing? Joe, MUFC, I want him nowhere near this club. I agree with you. I'm absolutely on that boat. There's a case up in Scotland with David Good. I don't know if that's trolling me or not. I personally think he'll end up on the plane to America in preseason. Don't want him to, but I can see it. Surely not. I'm surely not. It's just not good press for the club. Like Jay says there, bad press, not good, regardless of his talent and value in today's market. We don't want anything changing the mentality in the changing room. Yeah. And we know how damaging that can be, don't we? So that's my standpoint on it. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I'm just going to read the poll out before we slowly end the show. But so at the start of the show, I put, what owners do you want to take over Manchester United? 56% have said Sir Jim Ratcliffe. 33% have said the Middle East. 11% have said Asia. And 0% have said US investment. So people have still got scars from the Glazers, of course. Likewise with myself. US investors, there's a lot of thing around it saying that they want a quick return. It's not going to be in there for the long run. So 50% want Sir Jim. 40% want Middle East. They seem to be the two front runners and seem to be the two that everyone is a fan of. So I do think they will be the two favourites in general as well. I'm not just saying that because the poll says that. They are the two that thing. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see how this develops over the next couple of weeks. And the formal bids are being put in, by the way. So we will break the news live on this channel. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a damn thing. Don't miss a damn thing. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and smash a like on the video. I'm going to read out a few more comments and then I'm going to head off. So as always, thank you for the continued support. Let's have a look. Got some trolls as always, which is nice. Van der Beek's your best midfielder. Clearly doesn't watch United. Not Ratcliffe, John saying. Interesting. Nah, honestly, he's a real person. Got released from Wraith Rovers and Clyde. Not trolling. All right, fair enough. It was just because of his name. That's what I was looking at, and I was like, yeah, maybe there's something in that. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in. As always, the continued support of the channel. Shah Sam says, awesome show as usual. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I do this because of you guys interacting. The last thing anyone wants is just to talk to a camera and no one's listening. So the main reason why I do this every single day, and the lads do this every single day, is to make the channel as big as it can possibly be and interact with you guys, the footballing community, people who are constantly tuning in, asking questions. And, as fans, we want the best for the club, right? We want the best for Manchester United. Who is that going to be? What ownership model is best? We need to see something. We need to see a portfolio, a list of what they want to do with the club, how they're going to change it, how they're going to back the manager, what financials they're putting in. We need to see something like this so we can say, yeah, because obviously the fans should be involved in this. Why are they not? I know it's the Glazers selling the club. Technically, it's their club, but it's our club, innit? Let's be real. Let's be real. If we didn't show up every week, there wouldn't be anything. So, yeah, I can't wait to see how this is going to develop. Let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Please smash a like on the video. And I'll see you for the show tomorrow. The schedule will be out in the morning on Instagram. Check us out on socials, Twitter, TikTok, and Insta. Peace. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely Sunday. See you in a bit.